Welcome to another beautiful day right here. Wow, it is a wonderful day because the rain made today very special, but we don't have any option than to be here so that you will know what is happening. It's a rainy day in FCT. How is it in your area? Are you out of the house already? Are you on your way to the office or you're still on bed? Hey, if you're still in bed, you better get up. If you're still in bed, you better get up. All right. Welcome to Outnumbered. Antonia had to come to the office this morning in the rain. Michael in the rain. Myself in the rain because you need to be informed. Good morning, Antonia.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Ramsey.
It's good to have you right here today.
Good to be here.
Splendid.
My name is Ramsey. Quickly, let's take you to the headlines that we have for the day. Daily Trust newspaper have this headline which says Niger mining pit collapse, 6 rescued, 14 still trapped. Details read on page 6 of the Daily Trust. Atiku tackles Tinubu as federal government project 5.4 trillion naira for fuel subsidy in 2024. Atiku tackles Tinubu as federal government projects 5.4 trillion naira, all right, for fuel subsidy in 2024, meaning fuel subsidy is still somewhere. I don't know where it is. Stomach infrastructure more crucial to Nigerians now, according to Obasanjo, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I know you can relate with that headline. All right, the big story right here says northern senators MACBAN rejects bill restricting headers movement. Someone told me, I said, come, is Abuja becoming federal capital of headers? I don't know, but then because there were cartoons all over FCT when they were driving past, and there were cartoons everywhere, and they said this is a headers republic, and I was like, well, this is where we found ourselves. Now northern senators and MACBAN reject bill restricting headers movement. 3 riders to that story. Proposed law driven by emotions. This is coming from pastoralist. Then the second rider says ranching will end clashes with herders. Farmers are the ones saying that. Then Barau says all Nigerians have rights to live anywhere in the country, but not to the detriment of others, destroying people's hard-earned money or properties. Then this one says a court orders forfeiture of 11.14 billion naira property linked to Emefiele. Emefiele is still in custody. His case is still on, and right now we're hearing about seizure. Then another heavy hammer still coming on the former governor of Kaduna State, talking about El Rufai, where the Kaduna Assembly indicts El Rufai's aides in alleged 423 billion naira fraud. As at yesterday, we heard that the National Assembly is on El Rufai's neck, and right now his aide is also been allegedly indicted, as a matter of fact. Then we have this one finally from here, which says a passenger stranded as Abuja Kaduna train derails. This is unusual. Train derailing, it's so unusual, but then thank God that we didn't hear that lives were lost in the process. And I think the federal government should do something so that this doesn't happen again. You know, Nigerians are somehow still trying to get used to train. The Kaduna road, before it was because of attack, people stopped using the train. Right now, they've started, and we're hearing that there is a derail in the Abuja-Kaduna train transportation system. Well, may that not happen again so that we don't lose many things at the same time. All right, over to you for the next paper, Antonia.
Thank you, Ramsey. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. The big story we have here: cautious optimism as federal government unveils new fiscal deals to revive economy. That's on page 6. Insecurity hampers rescue of trapped Niger miners. You can find the details of that on news page 4. That's a sad one there. I have no regrets proposing full council autonomy. This is coming from the Attorney General, Fagbemi. That you can find on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving away from that, minimum wage. Talks resume as lawmakers flay labor for hard-hearted strike. This was indeed a hard-hearted strike because everybody felt it.
Yeah,
Those in rural areas, cities, everyone felt it. The details of that's on page 6. Subsidy not gone as federal government confirms 5.4 trillion naira spent on petrol. Now, one would wonder what exactly is happening in the country. Is it that the federal government is not telling Nigerians the entire truth of the situations going on? Because for the over 1 year, one would think that since this administration started, first subsidy was gone. Now, seeing 5.4 trillion naira being spent on fuel, you people are not telling us something.
And we knew what Abacha did with oil money way back in the years, where the former president, I think he's former president of Nigeria, before Tinubu, what's his name again?
Buhari. You forgot him so soon.
Muhammadu Buhari.
Buhari was the one that was in charge of Petroleum Trust Fund that year, and he built schools with oil money. That's way back. I read that history. Now the question is, what has this government done with the money realized from fuel subsidy? There's so much money realized from
But
fuel
No,
subsidy.
a lot of controversy
yeah,
here
there are a lot
because
of controversies.
El-Rufai came up sometime
this
year when this administration came into office that fuel subsidy removal was a scam, that fuel subsidy was not removed. Then today the federal government is saying they have spent 5.4 trillion naira. Then Atiku is also saying there was a budget, there was some money set aside for fuel subsidy in 2024. So the whole thing is confusing somehow. Maybe there is something we don't know, like Antonia said. But we need to know because we are Nigerians. Whatever that it is, we need to know. Because Nigerians are going through so much right now because of the policy that came up after this administration assumed office, especially that of the fuel subsidy removal.
So, away from that, Kaduna Assembly indicts El-Rufai for 423 billion naira graft. Orders arrest. That you can find on page 30. Also on page 30, court orders substituted service on Ganduje in bribery case. That will be all from the Guardian newspaper. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Antonio. Straight to the Punch newspaper. Tinubu may suspend import duties on food and drugs. You can get that news on page 2 of the Punch. Senate okay 60 million naira salary for CJN and Supreme Court justices. Details on page 29. Heritage Bank NDIC goes after 700 billion naira loan defaulters. Lists 2.3 million depositors. Get that gist on page 19. Still on another gist, 423 billion naira theft. Here, still above the header, El-Rufai kicks as Kaduna Assembly orders probe. You can get that details on page 7. The big story and the kicker is minimum wage. Finance Minister submits template to Tinubu today, and he has one writer to that story. Tripartite committee awaits template to resume negotiation 2 p.m. on Thursday. That's today. We hope they don't go back on strike. We hope they don't go back
some
on
hours
strike
from now.
Because it's something else.
They should come to compromise this time.
Yeah, I mean, just
Nigerians are not ready to face what they faced just now. And one thing, someone says something that this strike action, especially when there was a total shutdown of electricity supply, someone said, well, these big men, the Akpabios, and these other big men in quotes, do they really depend on electricity? That they may not even feel this heat. That at the end of the day, everything still boils down to the average Nigerians. But on the whole, I think it's good that it was a total shutdown and economic activities were also grounded and billions were being lost. So this time, at least, they should come to compromise. Something tangible.
So we don't experience
that again. In the voice of Antonia, 100 and above. We are there.
100 and above. Let's spike the positive news today. 2 p.m. is when the negotiation is going on today. Let's pray it comes out positively. Crude supply shortage. Foreign investors may dump 20 modular refineries. You can get that story on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. 25 suspected killers of Oyo Varsity students are arraigned. On a sad note, 25 suspect killers. Students are still. I heard a story where a child was beaten. There was jungle justice meted on a student by a fellow student just yesterday.
That's really sad.
Jungle justice. I mean, there was a stolen phone in the school and they rained jungle justice. What would the mother of that child be feeling today? And even the students that killed that, I mean, justice has to be served. You don't take laws.
I think
into your
this
hands.
the school authority,
Yeah, they
the
have a lot
security,
to
they
do.
have a lot to do in that case.
To investigate
To
thoroughly,
investigate that, because
stealing, the stealing of the phone that
phone,
led to the jungle justice,
Everything
everything.
has been
Yeah,
investigated.
but
The
that's really sad.
last story on the Punch newspaper I'll take this morning: $413,000 bribery. Ganduje to get changes. Ganduje to get charges through newspaper. I'll take that again. $413,000 bribery. Ganduje to get charges through newspapers. You can get the story on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. Make sure you grab one today to see what is happening in Nigeria today. Back to you, Ramsey.
thank you very much, Michael. Let's begin with the Nation's newspaper again, which is going to be our last. We are getting into the Nation's now. From the big story, El-Rufai false report of alleged 423 billion naira fraud. One right to that story, lawmakers sent findings of probe panel to anti-graft agency, and details read on page 2. Then this one says a court orders forfeiture of 11 billion naira properties linked to Emefiele. Details read on page 41 of the Nation's newspaper. Son list 86 standards for CNG buses. Orders. Details read on page 41. Then this one says RMAFC OK's federal government suit on council autonomy. Details read on page 4. Heritage Bank depositors to get 650 billion naira immediately. Details read on page 7. That's so much money, if you ask me, in a time like this. Then the picture story is still all about the Federal Capital Territory Administration still doing their commissioning. And that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Nation's newspaper this morning. And that brings us to the end of the newspaper review. Let's go on a quick break. We'll return back and we'll speak to you on the big story. You don't have to go anywhere far away from your screen. We will be back after this break.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleke TV, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome from that break. Of course, it is still outnumbered live on your screen on this beautiful day, this Thursday, and of course, we're reaching you live and direct from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria. The big story is something about the herders. You know, one of the problems we had, right from the time of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, was the issue of herders-farmers clashes. You know, one of the things that we are facing right now is as a result of people not being able to go to farm. People cannot go to farm anymore because the fear of herders is the beginning of wisdom for our farmers in Nigeria right now. And now, northern senators, we remember what happened in Benue State, the anti-grazing law.
Yeah.
You know, one person that stood strictly with that law is the former governor of Benue State, His Excellency Samuel Otom. And it was not easy, but he had to do it with a lot coming in right there. And right now, some persons are saying this is not supposed to be so. Northern senators, MACBAN reject bill restricting herders movement. And one of the things they were saying is that everyone have the right to live anywhere in Nigeria. If you have the right to live anywhere in Nigeria, that doesn't mean you should trample on other people's rights, going about destroying other people's property. You know, even in FCT today, as I speak to you, if you go around FCT, just drive around, you will see where cattle are moving and they defecate everywhere. Yeah. Then at the end of the day, the Federal Capital Territory is not what it is supposed to be. One of the things that I was actually looking out for when this administration came into office, especially the Minister of FCT, was to make sure these herders don't perambulate the city. At least they should have a ranch. Are there grasses in the city that they want to come and graze? You know, these are some of the pertinent questions that we should be asking. Ranching will end our clashes with herders. That is what farmers are saying. So what would you have to say? At this point in time, can we say the northern senators are not being sensitive to what the herders are doing. Or we can say, well, maybe some persons are parading themselves, under the cover of herders to perpetrate the evil that is going on with the farmers in Nigeria.
I think it goes both ways. The senators, because for this law to have come up, it means complaints have been made. Do you understand? Looking at the situation going on in the country, like you mentioned, not just in the FCT, other parts of Nigeria, you see these the herders moving their cattle, and you just see a whole line of cattle, a herd of cattle, and with maybe one person at the back controlling them, and sometimes they enter into major roads.
Yeah.
Major
Something
roads that
else.
could actually cause accidents. You see people just give I'm on a shift to give space. So do you understand? All of this poses threats to people, and also some of these herders, they hide under the guise of I'm a herder, and they perpetrate evil. That's why we hear things of the Fulani herdsmen, quote and unquote. Do you understand? Affecting farmers and all of that. So I feel that this law would actually help to curb that, and Nigeria, we're supposed to have moved past this level. You understand? There should be ranches, there should be a form of control, a form of restriction. That you're a Nigerian doesn't mean that, okay, you can live anywhere. No one is holding you to live anywhere. But then, if there is no law to guide this, everybody will just do what they like. They will just, lawlessness is not something that is beneficial to anyone. So I think this bill is actually a good one, if it scales true.
All right, this bill is actually a good one. If it scales through, at least maybe we'll have more food in Nigeria. I think the president this morning was saying imports tax or duty should be removed from food and one other product again. I think that's a good one. But if we are farming here, if this herders and farmers clashes is being resolved and we are farming here, it will do us a whole lot of good. Michael, as it is right now, all right, herders and the farmers clashes has reduced the agricultural products of this country to what we have today. So looking at this whole scenario, what is your thought when you heard about this story?
There's been a scenario of survival of the fittest between sedentary farmers and nomadic herders. It's been happening for years now. So when Senator Tatenga Zam came out, his APC Benue, he's not talking about just Benue State. If there's a legislation that has a law that prohibits, infringement of herders, nomadic herders in all the states. Not all states have nomadic herders and sedentary farmers. Not all states wants to accept that we should have open grazing.
That is true.
There are some states
because some people are not being affected by
Yeah,
this.
some states are not all states.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's pastoralist states are the ones that actually will want to. Let's have this, but they should have a place that is mapped out.
Yeah.
For instance, if you want to have livestock, go into livestock business, talk to the federal government. They will assign a place for you. You understand? You have to be licensed that you're into livestock business, and then there are laws that will be guiding you not to allow these livestock or whatever you are into to infiltrate the state. You see what happens in FCT. So many times you're trying to cross the town and you're dragging the road with not just that, it also helps security of lives and properties. Like I said, it's been survival of the fittest between sedentary farmers and nomadic herders, and so many lives and properties have been lost, not just in Benue, the food basket of the nation. So many states do not go to farm right now. I mentioned Enugu State, I mentioned Abia State. They are afraid of going to their farms because of herders, Fulani herdsmen. They are the ones that are grazing openly. Some of them infiltrate these localities in form of grazing, but they are actually there to kidnap and rob. They've killed so many people. Like I mentioned before, Uzowan local government is a particular local government in Nsuka that will tell you, hey, please, government should take this thing seriously. So when Senator Zam argued about this, establishing ranches in pastoralist states of origin, it will prevent conflict and promote peaceful coexistence, not just in Nigeria, but in several states that have been affected by this clash between farmers and herders. It's been preponderant, and we're not talking about it, and people are losing their lives every day. In fact, if you go to Benue and they'll tell you, we don't produce as much as yam as we used to produce because
They can't, because
herders conflict.
Zakibian, where they produce a lot of yam,
Yeah.
and Agatu, where they do a whole lot of farming, is where this herders and farmers clash
See
is
what I'm talking
even
about?
highly concentrated.
See what I'm
So
talking about?
And then they'll just go, what maybe work you'd have done for maybe 6 hours a day, you just go do the little you can and quickly.
So
because
people don't
you
even
have
go
to save
anymore.
your head
So
They're
first.
it's
even
also
scared.
aided in the scarcity of food.
Yeah.
yes, that's
So
why
that's
we're
what's
facing what we're
contributing.
facing right
So-
now.
From the east side, Enugu, they don't go to farm again. They'll tell you, send money to us, we don't go to farm anymore. We
Yeah.
are afraid of herders. They go to farm. These guys murder them unscrupulously because they are grazing their cows. And
even
they've
the
not been
threat that the
attacked.
cow even poses to you as a human being.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Not just those hiding under the guise of being herders.
This thing started like a joke.
Yes.
Because you just see they will pass with their cattle and they eat the crops as they are growing. They eat it, they
So it's
graze
a
on
lot.
it.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
a
a
lot.
whole lot. People lost so much.
Right now, if you're traveling and you see herders with their cattle, you'll be wondering, are they kidnappers? Are they robbers? Because they disguise and they hide ammunitions under their bags. You see them with a long machete. Federal government do not regulate them. Police doesn't check their bags.
That's
They have
another
this
story.
freedom
A
of
story for another day.
movement.
Some of them carry them guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody asked them any
Nobody asked them
questions.
No, you just
But
assume they are
other people
herders.
carry and they will tell you are not
In
licensed.
fact, we got used to this cattle infiltration into FCT Cosmopolitan because we felt, okay, our president then was a Fulani, and we felt, okay, they own the city. But right now, these guys infiltrate everywhere with impunity. You could be driving, you see them in Central Iraq. We drive, you see them in Gariki, Area 1, Maitama. They're everywhere.
But even if the president, I don't know, but even if the president is Fulani, like you have said, that doesn't
That
give
doesn't justify
Fulanis,
it.
that doesn't
It
justify
doesn't. It doesn't.
Fulanis filtrating FCT.
It's just like
with
saying
their
the
cattle.
president is a Yoruba man for now. The
Yes.
president now is a Yoruba man. So if there's something the Yorubas do in their, so they'll just
come
it
and
doesn't,
it
doesn't justify it.
Yes. All right. Well, that is it from the big story this morning. Well, I think the northern senators should try and think of something else because if we want to stay like this, Nigeria is somehow sinking, but we wouldn't sink. We will not sink.
In fact, those
Nigeria
who are
will
kicking
not
against
sink.
this legislation should be investigated. They have a hand in
In
what has
this.
been happening in between.
Maybe some
Yes,
of
because
them
they
have
said
cattle.
some of the
Some of
pastoralists,
them,
the pastoralists
yes.
are saying that
Yeah.
this legislation is coming as a result of people being emotional.
Emotional.
But this is someone actually saying what's happening in the country. Sometimes, yes, we understand that some things are born out of sentiments and other emotional ties
But
and
this particularly is
religion
not
and all
born
of that.
out of
But this
sentiments.
is not born out of it because it's affecting different
No,
parts of
no.
Nigeria.
The truth is this: it is obvious that maybe some of these senators are even rearing cattle.
Because you give
So yeah, maybe they do the business probably, and that's the reason they are kicking
you just
against
coming
it.
to say
they are.
anyone can live anywhere they like.
Live
in Nigeria.
anywhere they like
It's
in
more like
Nigeria.
go into the world
Sir,
and do
it is not
whatever
maybe.
you
If
want.
you're passing through Asokoro right now, the popular T.Y. Danjuma, you see a very fine house that has cattle just in front of it. So some of these are legislators, senators.
Some of them do it as
this
business.
So that's why they are kicking against it.
Well, no matter what it is, if you are doing the business or not, whatever it is, I think the life and properties of Nigerians should be prioritized. And as a matter of fact, this law, the bill should not be rejected. This should be followed to the latter so that at least our economy can be boosted again. Nigeria is a blessed country. You know, our land is always green. Our agricultural products yields very well. I could remember when we were exporting, agricultural products out of this country, not depending just on fuel and oil. And of course, it was very beautiful. Why these clashes right now? We are one nation, at least the national anthem, that line, you remember the line, okay?
No tongue and tribe may differ. In
But
brotherhood we stand something
in
around
brotherhood
those lines.
we stand.
In brotherhood, go to the market to buy Gary now. If
Keep brotherhood in your pocket.
If I talk that thing,
Today you're not
people be
talking of
vexed.
fufu.
Yes,
it's
everybody's
garri.
hungry. People
See,
are hungry.
it's
White
annoying.
Gary is 1,008.
For a mudu.
A mudu, just a small mudu.
Before
that two
now,
people
when
will eat here.
there was cassava everywhere,
was garri
so
everywhere.
cassava garri was everywhere too.
You see,
but now no
Ramsey,
cassava anymore.
This is a major issue.
No Gary, no yam, no
This is a
plantain.
major
No
issue.
cassava anymore.
Apart
People
from-
can't even go to
Yeah.
the farm.
Yeah.
So how can there
This
be
is a
cassava?
major
And without
issue.
cassava, there can be garri. Garri that people used to say is poor man's food.
That-
Now
that-
the
that
big
does
men
not
are
need
struggling with
adverts.
it. It doesn't need advert.
But right
In
now,
fact,
sir,
now people are looking
right
for
now,
it
sir,
everywhere.
2 pieces of pepper is 200.
Oh my
Tomato
God.
3 pieces is 500. So the poor cannot even have pepper and tomato in their food no more. Just use ginger. The Lord be with you.
People are weeping everywhere. Cry.
Oh, because
Cry.
ginger is hot. Just use ginger.
Cry.
And just
Right.
substitute with ginger.
Cry.
Michael.
You don't need to cut onions anymore before you cry.
Oh my goodness.
Because it is something else. Nigeria is something else right now.
Both of you are just dropping punchlines.
That's it. That's it.
Is this evidence
Seriously,
of what
no,
Nigeria
you don't need to cut onions anymore before you cry. All right, that is that from Outnumbered and the big story this morning. And of course, make sure you stay well. Cut your clothes, okay, according to your size.
No, not
all
your
right?
size.
Yeah.
You might be a size 16. And your
According
clothes,
to
you
the
have
size of
just
your
1
clothes,
yard.
though, okay.
Of your fabric.
The
According to
fabric,
size of your
according to the
fabric,
size
please.
of the
So
fabric,
if
the
his handkerchief
material.
is enough for you to
The
sew,
material.
you
Don't
don't
even
care.
afford
Don't
fabric
go and
to sew
form big
anything.
boy, big girl
Let's just
somewhere
say again.
and go and start borrowing from online. Then later, it will become a problem for you.
Paper will come.
Please live your life within your means. Please, let's don't overshoot it because of Igberaga, because we want to raise shoulder Nigerians, please. All right, thank you very much. We'll come on your way again, and that's going to be tomorrow, same time, same station. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Bye for now.